thing we have is okay, there was a couple of gentlemen that called me today to ask to speak as far as moving this here. Okay, you can speak. Come on up. Whoever are you call me? And somebody else call me? Come on up. Come up and give. This is these gentlemen called me up on the moving the license number 97, transferring the license. Let's see, from 903 84th to 8530 West Greenfield.
You can have a seat, please.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If I may, I think, I don't know how the agendas are put in order, but I would probably start with item number, it is 0042 to
95.
to create, relating to the number of Class A licenses. And here, this is why I would think that. If the quota is going to be, I know there's members of the committee, members of the council that want the quota completely disbanded, that
Right.
there would be no quota. Well, if that happens, this gentleman doesn't have to transfer that license, he can just go apply for a new license.
Right.
So he can save that license in his first property, and he wouldn't have to go through this. If we approve this, so now he has to transfer that one, then he's gonna go back and apply for a new license back at his old place. And then I think the same thing it would happen with the other one that's on the agenda tonight. If his license is granted over the quota, there'd be no question to it. But if the decision is made not to raise the quota, then we should then look at both of these things. So till we determine whether there's a quota or not a quota, why should we even talk about these two things first? Let's go to the first item and determine whether we have a quota or no quota. It just makes total sense to me.
Mr. Chair, if I could, I don't know any of the specifics of this deal here, okay? I also don't know that if we lift the quota, we would be just automatically granting everyone and anyone a license. I for one, think if we're gonna lift the quota, we're gonna have some sort of handle on where new Class A's, what kind of businesses new Class A's go into. So I don't know anything about the specifics of this of the request for this transfer.
I agree with you, but we should determine that first.
Well, this is probably a business deal between two or more individuals, and they have, I would assume, like any business deal, of money invested in the issue, and
They may, but if there's going to be open quota,
I don't think there's ever going to be an open quota.
I don't know. That's why we should address that
We
first.
may be, but
Then
Mr.
let's
Chair, if I
address
could,
these two things.
we may be months away from determining that question. Okay? This gentleman is here today asking to move a business from one location to another.
And we can go back to that. If this item is held for open quota, if it's going to be held, then we can go back to this, and we can go back to the other one. But if we get to the point tonight where everybody says, let's go open quota like a lot of people do want, a lot of the alderpersons want, well then both of these are mute. Let's do the first one. Let's tackle the first one, which might have some bearing on what they're doing.
Okay, I'm going to agree with Gary.
He still can speak, but,
Right.
but let's go to that one first
Well,
before we act on.
Well, what I'm going to do, I think, is just let both the gentlemen speak to get their mind, because in case they have to go run their business or something. So,
Hi.
Hi.
You're talking about the new license, or maybe you can talk both or just one?
either or, we can talk about both of them because that's what you call them.
Okay,
We're talking about moving from the Old Town Beer and Liquor location
Okay,
to 85th and Greenfield. Not about just opening the quota up. but
No,
just
no,
opening-
no, and the one on 84th Street also.
Oh, okay.
That's what you call on. So I had said I'd let you speak on them, so go ahead.
Mr.
You and
Chair?
then you go.
Who are you?
My name Manjeet Singh Dhillon, 9034 West Greenfield Avenue. I have a Olympia liquor store over there.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Okay. On the first one, the 84th Street, that one, the European liquor store.
Right.
I have a store in Olympia. There's same thing European store used to. The little bit liquor, now is only liquor, 90% liquor. Okay. Second one, the 84th Street, they're moving to 86 Greenfield. There are too many liquor stores that area. They lot of competition, you know. They kill our each other business. So I don't understand why he moving over there. So he can make over there remodel whatever he want. He can do that. We don't have objection. But here, that's too close. This one 84. He want try to 86, 82 Lapham, or Highway 100 Greenfield, 76, 72. There's too many stores close to. We cannot, you know, the small business. This is not a big business.
Okay.
So we have a competition. We cannot make nothing. We losing. We out of the business maybe.
Okay.
That's it.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Can I stand here? or
Sure, you stand there.
It's the same thing.
Also, sir, please tell us who you are.
Sir, my name is Sunny Dhaliwal. I'm the owner of the Walsh's Beer and Liquor on 109th and Greenfield Avenue. Even I'm a little bit away from this location, but still, it's the same city, same West LS. My concern is because it's already liquor store on 92nd. There is, if one liquor store is, I think Aryan liquor store is around 82nd or 86, 86? 82nd, right?
Mhm.
And as you guys were considering that one liquor store is coming at 84th and another one is transferring up to 86th. So between 84th to 92nd, in 8 blocks, we are thinking about 4 liquor stores, 4 Class A licenses. There are already 2 existing. So you're trying to add 2 more, or you're thinking about 2 more. So it's the same number of population. It's not there is that any big impact of population or there is a big increase in population. Or second thing is everybody's trying to concentrate on the Greenfield Avenue. One liquor store is trying to move from the north of the Greenfield Avenue, from the 84th to Greenfield Avenue. Other store which is coming at the 84th Street, 84th and Greenfield, is coming from the south of the Greenfield to the Greenfield Avenue. So then there will be a big cluster of liquor stores in the small neighborhood. I don't know this is a good or bad, or is this a public demand that we should open more liquor stores in the same neighborhood. There should be some distance between one to another liquor store, so if there is competition, there should be healthy competition, not to kill each other business. That's what I want to say.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we're gonna go back then, to item number 94, 95. There are two different ordinances here. One is just to eliminate the quota for Class A license altogether, and the other one is Boscoy, Alderman May, and Alderman Barzak. So maybe if you want to explain a little bit what the difference between just eliminating.
Sure. So the ordinance that the committee asked to be drafted is just a pure elimination
Right.
of Class A licenses. And, I'm not in favor of that. Alderman Barzak, I don't know if I can speak 100% for you. Yeah, speak for him. He's also against that. There should be some restrictions on where and how these operate. And so the second option is basically would allow a no cap on full service grocery stores, but would put caps on, it would not allow them to be sold in gasoline stations, would not allow them to be sold in convenience stores or in pharmacies. And then any liquor stores on their own, there would remain a cap on the number of liquor stores.
And do you have any numbers on this, or you're just throwing us out for debate, or?
Throwing this out for debate.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Alderman Weigel.
I guess I'm not relatively new to this committee,
No.
but I'm just wondering how we got a quota in the first place, and what the intent of having a quota was, and has it been able to do that?
Alderman Barzak.
After serving on the committee for, I think it's 18 years, I might be able to shed a little light. The original for the quota was because the city of West Dallas has more liquor stores per square mile. At the time, the last study that I saw, we had 1 liquor store per half mile. The next closest municipality was 1 liquor store per 1 point, and I believe it was 2 point some miles. We also had more liquor stores per capita than any other municipality, with the exception of Oshkosh. We also, when it goes to class, I hope I get these right, A and Bs, which is taverns, we also have a quota, self-imposed. And the reason for that quota was to contain a number of bar licenses, because we were also at that time #1 per capita for taverns in the state of Wisconsin. We're now #2. La Crosse is past us. We're #2 when it comes to that. So when the committee started the quota system, I think it was before I even sat on the committee, the whole intent was to get us back into what would be the norm of other municipalities in the area and in the state of Wisconsin. So not only are we talking the area, but we're talking the state of Wisconsin, that we have more liquor stores. Again, 1 per half mile, the next closest one was 1 per 1.some miles. That was the whole intent, and it was steadfast gospel until this came up. And I'm not sure what drove it. I have reasons to believe what happened. I've been told that some of it is to try to get rid of some of the smaller liquor stores that are eyesores, and if we give it to everybody, it'll kind of eliminate that, and that's what I've been told. I'm not sure, and it was the opposite with us, is we wanted to control it, that there's never been a problem with Pick and Save, with any of the big ones getting one. They would buy somebody out and they would get their liquor license. They have the opportunity to do that. So we always have been open to transfers, and we have always approved transfers. All the way through. When somebody wanted one, that's the way we went, until we could get ourselves back in line. We felt holding it at 20 was the way to do it. I think it's 20 or 21, whatever we're at. We never have increased it. Never has decreased, because every time one came available, somebody big grabbed it. Either Pick and Save grabbed it, or somebody big would grab that license and then transfer it over. So it's worked. We've never had a problem with it. I have had Walgreens come in front of us. We have Aldi's come in front of us. We've had
Target.
CVS, pharmacy, whatever it is. We've had Target come in front of us, and we have denied all of those. We have never given out like that. So that is the history behind it. It's because we have more liquor licenses than anyone else in the state of Wisconsin.
Mr. Chair, if
I know what your next question is.
no, just, so, my understanding was 1992 or 1996, something like that, was when the 20 number was, the quota was instituted, although we have like 26?
Yeah, you're correct.
Okay, so in reality, we haven't gotten rid of putting the quota at 20 with the idea of getting down to the quota eventually, we haven't really lost any liquor license.
No, let me, it's the holdback number.
Yes.
That we would
Yeah.
not expand it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not that we would get less.
Well, then
That was
the
never
quota should have been
done.
put at 25 or whatever the existing number
That
was.
would be more.
Well, no, but if we had 26 licenses at the time, and the quota was set at 20, that to me looked like we were trying to get rid of liquor stores.
Then I would agree with that, yes.
But in reality, in the however long, at least 15 or 20 years, we haven't gotten rid of any liquor stores.
Well, if we were at 26, we're at 20, we got rid of 6.
But we're not at 20 right now.
What are we at, Dan?
20?
Mr. Chair,
Well,
point of
I'm not
information,
sure-
we're 20 Class A liquor, 4 Class A beer.
Okay, okay. And then Alderman Barzak was quoting some numbers here, and I think I have the most recent study, and I think we're essentially tied with, when you go square miles per Class A, we're tied with, according to the data that our staff came up with, we have 0.57 square miles per Class A license. Racine has 0.55, and Wauwatosa has 0.58. So we're essentially in a three-way tie with those. And this doesn't look like a statewide survey. I think this was just a local survey. And obviously, I don't think we didn't want staff to look at the entire state. So within the neighborhood, yeah, we do have, we're all tied for first. We'll call it a three-way tie for first with Racine and Wauwatosa. And then there was one other thing brought up about, that Alderman May said about full service, a liquor store, a grocery store, okay? And again, I have this classification by business type. I think everybody got this. So we have businesses listed, and then their plan of operation forms. You know, some of them are just called a liquor store. We have Pick and Save is listed as liquor store and supermarket. Rupina's is listed as a corner store. I think I would call that. And then we have some that are called convenience store. And then we have one that's liquor store, some grocery, convenience store and liquor store. You know, I think we agree, I would agree Piggly Wiggly is a supermarket, but a lot of these are just, how are we gonna draw these lines when it is a grocery store? You know, are we gonna start measuring floor space? Are we gonna start looking at cash registers and see what their sales are, that they can't do 51% beer or beverage, you know, if you get over a certain limit? I don't think we wanna be in that business. I know I don't. I don't think our city wants to do that. I'm just seeing the management that it's gonna be very difficult for us. I think it's something that it's doable, but labeling a business as far as its type, you know, again, I think of Rapina's, I go there quite a bit. I think of it as a grocery store, you know. I guess I don't know where this plan of operation form comes from, but, you know, I think this whole discussion is months from being resolved. And that's again why we have a business owner here. We go back to one of the items on the agenda tonight, where someone wants to transfer their existing Class A license from one location to another. I assume there's some sort of business deal going on there. Are those people there, for the people from Town Beer and Liquor here? Okay, so you're selling your liquor store business to somebody else?
Yeah.
Okay, to him?
Yeah.
Okay, and do you care? Would it bother you if you had to wait 2 months to find an answer to that, or would you like to see a reasonably quick resolution to the issue?
I need a quick resolution because I have to leave next month. That's
Yeah,
our
because he's trying to buy part of your business from you, and there's money. He's probably got money down it already, and you probably have a date of sale, and if it doesn't happen by a certain day, the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe I'd like to hear from them. I honestly think we're months away from resolving the quota issue.
This one's a lot easier because if it's transferred and whatever happens in the 2-3 months ahead, he could then go reapply for that license
Yeah.
for the other location.
Yes.
If you wanted
Yeah.
to reopen that as a,
That's what
which I assume would happen.
Okay.
I think we have two gentlemen here who are trying to do a straight arm's length business transaction, and I think they deserve a prompt answer on whether we're gonna let that happen. I don't think anybody has a problem with it. Alderman Barzak actually said we've never challenged the relocation of a Class A license. So I'd like to move that we vote on that agenda item tonight and get that resolved so these two business owners can get an answer and move forward. And then, like I said, I think I haven't spoken to my co-alderperson about the Class A quota issue. There's a lot of things involved in this. I think we're several weeks away from a resolution on this.
And Mr. Chair, point of order, we're talking about 94 and 95 right now,
Right,
correct?
right. Two ordinances.
Yeah.
So the answer on the grocery store, so we actually have it defined within our proposal. A full-service grocery store shall mean a retail establishment that primarily sells food, including both perishable and non-perishable items. Full-service grocery store also includes a supermarket that also sells non-food products such as clothing and household items. A full-service grocery store does not include a retail establishment that also sells gasoline, is a convenience store, or a pharmacy. So the primary thing being here, it sells grocery. It sells food.
Would Target fall into that category?
I believe it would.
Although they don't sell primarily food, but they do sell other things.
Mhm.
Okay, so,
And Mr. Chair, Target has a pharmacy, so.
actually, the
But it is
pharmacy.
not a pharmacy.
No, the
It is
pharmacy
not.
at
Okay.
Target belongs to CVS.
Okay,
They're like subleasing from them.
sure. So, under your proposal, Target would be okay, even though they have a pharmacy, but CVS would not. We would not grant one to
Correct.
CVS
Walgreens
or
couldn't get one.
Walgreens.
The corner gas station couldn't get one.
Okay. Thank you.
So I just wanted to share that, and I agree we're months off, but I think we should at least start
Mhm.
setting
Well, start the
some
conversation.
walls and parameters.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm personally not in favor of a full on lift the ban. I think there are some things that we need in terms of distance requirements or special use, maybe make them special uses. Right now they're permitted uses, so that we can get control over site plan, floor plan, architecture, all that. So,
Mr. Chair?
Who am I?
When distance, you mean like distance from a school or a church or a park, or distance from each other?
I think the state says 300 feet from a school, or that was another thing, 300 from a school.
Yeah.
Or,
Hospital or church.
so that's all we have right now. But
I don't think we can do a clustering thing.
unless there's proof. Yeah.
Yeah, because we went through this with check cashing places. You have to be able to demonstrate that clustering them has a negative impact on the neighborhood. And did everybody see the email the chief sent us, the police chief sent us this
Yeah.
afternoon?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, although that's not definitive, that's just, I guess, his, that's his thoughts on it, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know.
My feeling on it is, one of the reasons why our taxes are so high in the city is because we have a low tax base. I want to build up that tax base. If that takes giving a Class A license to a potential new grocery store that's going to enhance the city and bring in more tax dollars, I'm going to be in favor of it. So I'm pretty simple to get along with here. So, anybody else?
Yeah, and I think Alderman Barzak had started to ask also, why are we revisiting this? This has worked for a while. Why are we doing this? And Mr. Chair, I think you answered it. It's because of development, that we want to encourage development. That's probably one of the most important things, if not the most important thing we do on this council and as a city, because that's what we need to generate tax revenue to provide services. That's where this is coming from, right?
Mr. Chair. So my understanding on that, and I don't know why a couple of members of this committee were informed of this whole idea. Somehow they knew about it before I did. I don't know who all knew about this idea of lifting the quota. I don't know, it just came up at our last meeting. Maybe we should just lift the quota, and there was some strong support
I think that's
out of
where it came
nowhere.
up.
That's
Well,
where it came up.
Well, I talked to the director of, or I asked the director of development what he thought of this proposal as well, and his response was, "I'm fine with either of them. It allows them in grocery stores." I think that's where he's seeing the potential for increased tax base. I think there's a lot that goes into value. I think some people might have issues with moving into neighborhoods where there's a large density of liquor stores. It might ruin tax base that way as well. I'm not sure. And then again, that goes to the whole idea of we need more research. Does it affect property values, the health welfare of people? But again, I just want to let you know, I talked to the director of development. He basically is saying he'd like it for grocery stores. And I'm guessing that's coming up because of farmers market and.
No, this isn't an open debate. But there is all the people here, I'd be interested in their opinion. That's why we're holding it before the council meeting. As far as just getting rid of it, or proposal by Alderman Barzak and me. Any of the other aldermen? No, nothing? Okay. Well, like we said, so where do you, okay, this one is just to eliminate the quota. What do you still have to do on the other ordinance to make it work?
So basically, it can work. It's saying grocery stores, there's no limit, but there's a limit for these other uses, and we're not going to allow them in gas stations, pharmacies, and convenience stores. It's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah. You have something?
Would you consider the Parthenon a grocery store?
5% of its sales is Floria is supposed to be liquor, and the other 95% food. So that would be a full-service grocery store.
Okay, I was just checking. And it was the development in the 6 points that cultivated this discussion.
So this.
Well, let me add on to that. Alderman Hay, or Alderman Chapleski, Mr. Chair. When development came to us and said, we have this possibility, and this is back when I sat on the committee, we got this, I gotta think of the millions of dollars, what is it, how many $1 million development is that?
That's
63.
And we got the $64 million development company, and we may need a license over quota. Are you gonna have an issue with that? I said, none. I don't have an issue with that at all. So we can put a parameter in there too, that if you come in with a $50 million development or better, you would also get one no matter what it is. And I wouldn't have an issue with that. And that's where it started. And I mean, I came out and said I wouldn't have an issue with it. I think the aldermen that were sitting on the committee at the time said, we don't have an issue with that. And then all of a sudden, this thing comes in, let's just get rid of the quota total. And it's just like, what? After all these years of working on that and trying to keep this in check, all of a sudden it's just, let's have a free-for-all. Let's let all these speedways have it, let's let all the pharmacies have it, let's let all the convenience stores, let's just let everybody have it. Alderman May and myself talked about it, we said maybe we ought to get this thing in check a little bit. Am I against giving some licenses out over quota? No. But am I against every single little place that wants one having them? Yes. So I think there's that balance somewhere. And I think all we need to do is get redefined, maybe fine-tune that language in there. For Trader Joe's came, I'd be for that in a heartbeat. Aldi's, I wouldn't have a problem. Target, I wouldn't have a problem. Fresh Market or whatever they're called, I wouldn't have a problem. Sendix, I wouldn't have a problem. Those are grocery store, grocery store, grocery store, grocery store. You can definitely see the difference between the two. Walgreens comes in, Quick Trip comes in. I need a liquor license. I'm gonna frown on that a little bit, because if Quick Trip gets it, then Speedway gets it, and then any other little service station get it. And I think that's where this little bit of control comes in. And I believe it's the same thing Wauwatosa's doing. I think Wauwatosa went to the same. It's one of the other municipalities went to the same length of not to have them in gas stations and pharmacies.
Okay, the only hole that I see in your proposal there is that basically what you're saying, if you're a small guy, you're not getting anything. And that's where we're wrong, because we're sending out a flag that West Dallas is against the little guy.
But right now, you're trying to eliminate the small guy. If you open it up and just let them free fall, you are going to eliminate the small guy. You're going to hurt him. And that was some of the premise that all along with holding it at the 20 was to help that small business owner out. And we also gave the permission if somebody got one and transferred it to the big one. So you're the one hurting that small business if you open up this quota system, because you're going to put all these little guys out of business right now. So it's exact opposite of what you think is going to happen.
Well, not
so
necessarily.
You're hurting the small guy.
Not necessarily, but most likely. Okay,
this
the
ordinance would not do that.
The other question I have with your ordinance is that you're saying grocery store, convenience store, nothing in a convenience store. Is there a definition of what a convenience store exactly is? Do we have to define those? Do we have to?
If I can answer.
Go ahead.
And maybe that's a question for Attorney Scott Post, but what I would say is that we're not saying they can't. We're saying a full-service grocery store is not these things. Scott, do you have any answers?
Definitions are the hard part. I mean,
That's where we need a little more time.
come up with a definition that includes one and excludes the other. You could probably write a couple of pages and still not have a definition that satisfied everybody, or somebody couldn't make an argument they still get in under a definition. They're difficult definitions. It's one of those, if you, let's say pornography, you know it when you see it, it's hard to define.
Right. Also,
And Mr. Chair, real quick, I'd also like to point out that there are still other 20, there's still a quota of 20, it's just the grocery stores would be subject to that quota.
and
So there are still a possibility of 20 other liquor stores out there and operating.
as one of the gentlemen brought up tonight, is that place opens up only a small part of liquor store, mostly groceries aren't selling, so we're starting to fill up all those shelves with liquor now.
I think you'd have a reason.
Are they going to have is it going to hit a point that someone's going to go in there, and who's going to go in there and say, okay, now you're a liquor store, and the license go away?
Chipping point,
Yeah, who's going to go in there and look at their books?
I don't know who does that now.
No one.
No one.
Not the books. It says you're primarily selling food.
Floor space.
It could be
What
floor
does that
space.
mean, though?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Is that a dollar amount or
We said
quantity
you
amount?
might
Floor
need to spend a
space
month
or
two
square
to-
footage.
to-
Yeah.
To get this
Yeah.
down.
Mr.
Hold
Chair.
on.
Alderman May mentioned the 84, the Greek Parthenon at 80, and you said just 5% floor space?
That's what I remember seeing in the application, was 5% floor space
Okay.
for liquor and 95% floor
Okay,
space for.
so if the
I would call it
application-
a grocery
Yeah,
store.
what if it was 10%? I mean, if we're going, floor space is, I guess, something you can go in and objectively measure. You know, staff can go in with a yardstick and measure the floor space. You know, do we include back of the room storage or back of the house storage? Do you include stuff stored in the basement? There, you know, or is it just the retail? I mean, again, these are all things that we'd have to talk about. And do you draw the line at 5%, or is it 7.5%, or I think it should be 13%, or you know, that's a conversation we need to have.
Well, let's have it.
Yeah.
Before this proposal came out,
what we're
I
here
sent
for.
Scott a separate one saying, why don't we define it as no more than, I think it was, no more than 5% up to a total square footage of 1,500. We'd consider a grocery store. You know, just to get the conversation going. And Alderman Barzak and myself thought this might be simpler, but that's something we could do. We could say up to a certain square footage of liquor, you are a grocery store. And make it the retail space, the retail, you know, footprint. If you're over that, you're no longer a grocery store. That's a possibility. I mean,
Oh, it's all possible. Right. So, obviously, we're not gonna take any action on this tonight. I agree with Alderman Weigel, we will take up the other one, issue here. Patrick, Parthenon, we can hold that still, right?
Yeah,
There's no
but,
real-
I mean, they are nearing a point where they're gonna spend over $100,000 on
Right.
renovating that building. And, you know, that's probably important to their business plan, to figure out what they can sell there.
Okay, but I'm saying
It's
if
not
this,
like they can't sell it from their other location right now.
if it takes another month
No, that
before,
should be no problem.
before we do that, that's not a problem.
I'll bring that to their attention.
Okay,
Mr. Chair,
all in me.
we're saying we're going to talk about this more in the future, but I think we need to have some sort of idea
Direction.
of what that future looks like. Are we going to come back and say the same things? What do we want to see? Where's everyone kind of leaning towards? What?
I want something objective. I think words like convenience store, supermarket, corner store, you know, that's all too blurry.
So you need some definition.
Yeah, I don't think we want to get into people's books and cash registers either. I don't think we
No.
want to look at, well, you know, we need to see your receipts for the last 4 months. You
I
know,
agree.
and, you know, that's, you know, so that cuts it down to floor space, not linear footage of shelving,
Right.
actual floor space, square footage that would have to be put on a plan of operation. We have plans of operation for our Class Bs and our Class As now, and the city attorney has told us that if we have a written and agreed to plan of operation and we find somebody to be in substantial violation of that, that would be cause for revocation. Am I phrasing that correctly?
Well, it gives us an opportunity
Yes.
to do that,
Yeah.
whether that holds up ever in court is a
Right.
whole other matter.
Yeah.
But
Well, you never know what's gonna hold up in court.
we've never tried that. That was the premise that we operated on.
Yes.
Those plans of operation was to try and get more control.
So if I may ask a couple more questions. So
Um,
it seems like the people in this committee are okay with the idea of a grocery store. Gas stations?
Mr. Chair, if I could?
Alderman Weigel.
I don't understand the aversion to gas stations, okay? I usually don't go into gas stations except for the last 10 days I've traveled across the country. Almost every gas station, I was in 8 states, every gas station I went to had beer, at least beer in them. And these were not just interstate truck stops, because thanks to Gas Buddy, I can find the cheapest gas in any town when I'm driving across the country. And so my wife and I found ourselves in gas stations in Denver and Durango and Sidney, Nebraska, and all over the place. And I won't say shocked. Everybody sells beer in their gas stations. I know we don't, and I know Franklin does, and I believe Brookfield does, and I'm pretty sure Elm Grove does too. I understand that's just something we've always stayed away from, and I don't understand. And why not pharmacies? You know, Aldi's is somehow better than Walgreens? I don't know. You know, we would give a license to Aldi's, but not to Walgreens. Walgreens in other communities has liquor licenses. You know, There's a lot
I
of
was
things to
gonna ask
discuss.
if Alderman-
There's a lot of things to talk about, I think.
We should talk
That's a
about
simple
it.
answer, it's controlling the number. That we have more than any other municipality, now we're seeing in somebody else's.
We're tied.
comments,
We're in a three-way
with
tie
us.
for first,
That-
just locally. I don't know about the rest of the
we
state
used-
either.
It used to be 2-1 over everybody
Yeah,
else, at the last study that I saw, and it's strictly to control it. If you open it up to everybody, now you are gonna be number one again by far. So that's a decision you gotta make. You wanna be the liquor capital of the world?
Well, I'm not,
Eliminate it.
and I'll be honest with you, when I go to gas stations that have liquor licenses, they're big businesses. They're not little corner places. They're big places. They usually sell fried chicken too, and they got the soda machine, all the slushy and all that, and they have five or 6 or 8 employees working. I've mentioned this in the past. I'm a fan of small business. I am a small business owner. I just finished a 10-day road trip with my wife. We didn't go to a single chain other than buy gasoline. We went chain, independent restaurants and stores, wherever, skip to Walmart, all that stuff. The liquor business to me is the one exception where it's not always best to have the owner behind the register. When you go to Pick and Save, the girl behind the counter at Pick and Save is told by her boss to card everybody. Okay, she makes her $11.20 an hour, no matter what. She cards everybody because she knows she doesn't care if the sale happens or not. She's got no skin in that actual transaction. She cares if she serves a minor and gets fired and ticketed. But with a small independent liquor store or convenience store or corner store, we want to call it, oftentimes the owner is behind the cash register. And when a marginal customer comes in, someone who may not be 21, and plops down 2 bottles of Jack Daniels on the bar and pulls out a fresh $100 bill, and the owner is standing there looking at it and goes, no, if he makes that sale, no, if I card that guy, I may not make the sale. If I don't make the sale, that's going to cost me personally money. It's a tough thing to say, but to me, it's a case where the owner operator is not always the best thing for the city.
You know that for a fact?
I've never owned a liquor store.
Okay, but you know that for a fact?
What?
Because it's a pretty ludicrous statement to make. If I was the owner of a liquor store and my reputation, that's my livelihood, this is my only income, I'd be the opposite. I'd be making sure I'm carding.
Well,
I'm not gonna lose my liquor. I think that's a ludicrous statement.
I can tell you that on this committee, when we've had owners in where their family members have been caught in our stings, we very often from the chains, we hear, yeah, they're no longer with us.
Key.
They're no longer with us. We hear that. Yeah, that person, the manager sitting here from the chain or whatever, yeah, that employee, we let them go immediately. Okay, but we've had small business owners here say, it was my brother. He made a mistake.
It was not the owner.
Well, we haven't.
You're
No,
saying
I
the
understand.
owner.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was not the owner.
In my time on this committee, I can't recall us ever catching an owner in a
Very
state.
good, thank you.
Okay, to disagree with your statement, because if that's the owner standing there, looking at the $100 bill, and he just got his letter from the electric company that says, if you don't pay your bill within, so many days, I'm turning your power's being turned off, that is gonna affect his decision. He's gonna gamble it so he doesn't have his power turned
So
off.
if I own a gas station
so-
and I can turn my little pump up a little bit to get an extra half a cent per gallon, and my electric bill's due, I'm gonna go do that?
That's why they're checked. Weights and Measures
That's why
goes and
we-
checks the
that's why
gas
we send
station.
people in to check
Yes, yeah.
That's
That's
why
why
we
Weights
do
and
it.
Measures goes and checks the gas station.
Alderman me.
So I think Alderman Barzak hit it on the head. We want to control the number within the city. My question is, why just get rid of it? Why not try 25 as the limit?
Yeah.
Why not set a new policy that if you're a grocery store and you bring this much in, we'll allow it? We do it when a nice bar or restaurant comes in. We'll say, oh, we'll go above our quota for you, but how come we don't do it that for the quota on this? Why does it have to be opening the floodgates? And then the third question I'd like to ask is, why did we ban them in the C1 then? What was so bad about liquor stores that we banned them in C1?
We didn't ban them, we put a moratorium on new ones.
That moratorium's over. I believe they're banned in C1 now. I think they're prohibited uses. Why did we do that? I thought it had something to do with the image and and those sorts of things. So, I mean, I think the people on this committee realize also there is an image issue that goes with it, with having so many liquor stores. So to the other, I made my point on that. So the other 2 points, why not try 25? Why doesn't this committee say we'll grant exceptions if you're what we feel is a development that's bringing value to the city? Why don't we treat it like the Class B?
The only problem that I see with that is that now that, let's say, Ghost Stores wants to move in or somebody wants to move in and they want a liquor license, am I guaranteed when they go to Patrick and say, am I guaranteed a liquor license? Patrick right now says, I don't know. Because he doesn't. And so that's, once again, they may think about it a little bit, well, I don't want to fight about it, forget it, we're not going to go there. I'd rather open it up more, along the lines of what you started here. Obviously, we need a lot of clarification here, rather than raising the quota. Because raising the quota, we're going to hit that number, and then we're going to be sitting in the same position. So
to sum it up, is the consensus that we need a definition of a convenience store, a pharmacy, a gas station, a grocery store, and then see where we're at from there, and define square footages.
Right.
For
Well,
grocery stores,
then I think I know. But what you also need to do is you need to get this to every single alderperson, and the mayor, so we can look it all over and have any questions, get a hold of you there. So.
Yeah. Well, we got to be careful though. If
Well, we could have a committee of the whole meeting. We could have a committee of the whole meeting on this issue.
and that would be fine. I don't want to have individual conversations with every
Yes.
alderperson. Right now,
No,
it's
I'm just
pretty
saying
much me and Barzak.
I'm just saying get it out to everybody so they know it's there, that they don't show up in a meeting and now they're reading it or a couple days before, so.
It was out on Thursday. It was online.
Anybody else have anything?
Mr. Chair,
Alderman.
I'm not necessarily in favor of lifting the quota. I don't, the ordinance came sponsored from the committee, I think, right? Didn't have an individual name on it.
No,
Right.
committee.
Yeah, but I like the idea of granting more licenses, having the flexibility of defining on who gets it, who doesn't, and giving our Department of Development a little extra, another stick or carrot. I guess it would be a carrot.
Carrot.
No, it's a carrot.
Give me a send in carrot.
Ed's the stick. But yeah.
Also we had talked about special use.
Yes.
So that way we would know they would have to write down exactly what they want.
We'd have control over their architecture, their landscaping, their signage, their special use would do that.
Which you do now as part of the license.
If it intensifies, is what I was told. As part of the we have a floor plan operation when someone comes for a liquor license application, but from what I understand is in order to get control on signage, the facade, all that stuff, that would be a separate, there would have to be an intensification of use to do that, correct?
For a new license, if a new license is being issued, yeah, I mean, that would be an intensification from a convenience store without a liquor license going to a store with one.
Scott, what do you think about that? Is that a valid opinion, or?
Well, if you were going to make a change, I would recommend that you, to allow more using what other criteria, whether you try to define certain things, you use square footage, you make liquor stores a special use everywhere. That gives you the most control.
That would be good.
Okay.
Wouldn't apply to the existing ones, but any new applicant would apply to.
Okay.
In addition, you'd have the plan of operation for how the business is actually run.
And if they don't run it that way, we can try to take their license away. Okay, does anybody on the committee have anything else?
I do.
Well, then why go?
It has to do with, okay, so we have this list here of combination Class A liquors, which is what people consider to be a liquor store. And then we have some Class A beers that are listed, Express Pantry's one, Quick Pantry. We also have a B beer on-premise license only, which we're a quota on that, I believe, or maybe we're one under, I'm not sure. But I believe that license allows unlimited beer sales to go also. I'm looking at the city clerk's office representative here. Does Ann know?
I don't have an answer for that at this time.
I'm pretty sure, so I'm trying to think of who had one.
A B beer. Yes.
Monica's here.
CVS has one? CVS does have one. And is that this, no, that's like that's like a beer to go license. I'm thinking like Big Deal Burger had a beer only on premise consumption license, but that would also allow him that if he chose to, he could have sold cases of beer to go with that license.
That's correct.
So when we look at this list here, we should also include all of our beer on premise. Not that we have that many, but that's not on the list, I guess.
Well, it's an interesting consideration,
Yeah.
though. I mean,
I can get beer at CVS? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and again, I'll
Right, beer,
just
same
remind the committee, I wasn't on the committee then, I don't believe. We had West Dallas Cheese and Sausage at the time had asked for, they wanted to do wine to go in their baskets.
yeah.
And the solution that was found was get them an on-premise beer and wine license, and they've maybe stretched what originally the discussion was about, but it certainly turned out well. I mean, that's so you can go there and get a beer or wine either to go or to drink on premise. So.
and Mr. Chair, who would be heading this effort to define the grocery stores, the square footages, all that information?
Well,
Attorney's office?
who goes to liquor stores the most?
I would think the people,
Don't look at me.
I think the people who are proposing
I do go
this,
once in a while.
people who are proposing it. But
All right.
well,
Yeah.
wherever you can
What,
get some.
Mr. Chairman, what I would do is I would ask our development department, because they're the ones that want to open this up, is to do a little bit of a study and go into, Pick and Save, go into the Piggly Wiggly, go into the, these bigger places and just do what is the square footage of the building, and what is the square footage of their liquor operation? And then let's get a consensus where that is, and then come up with a number.
And Sendex and Trader Joe's and
Yeah, we
Yeah,
could do
yeah.
those too.
And do it based on retail
And
floor
just,
space.
you know,
If you've got a
it's
large
probably
storage
10 of
closet, don't include it. But-
Do 10 of them. I mean, we don't have to sit into 100 of them. I think we're gonna get the same conclusion if we do 10 of them and try to figure out what their floor space is based on the size of the building, based on the size of their liquor department. Simple as that. Give us 10 of them. Let's come up with a number of, what the average is, maybe bump it over the average by a little bit and come in with that number.
Okay,
I don't think it's gonna be that difficult.
okay, we can work that out. Okay, so we're going to hold 94, 95. I'll come back, now we have, let's see, 97 and 98. This application of transfer to license from 903 and 84 to Greenfield Avenue.
Mr. Chair, if I could ask, the current owner of the business on 84th Street, Town Beer, what are you going to do with the empty space?
I'm just selling whole property to him, everything.
You're selling the entire 84th Street?
Every whole business like
Okay,
liquor store, bar, and the parking spot and duplex is buying everything.
okay. And then, so the new owner is going to have the location on Greenfield Avenue and the location on 84th Street with no liquor store license for the 84th Street location currently.
Okay,
And what are your plans for that
we're
space?
gonna close the store.
So that's the store,
We
but keep
just
the bar
open only
open?
one store only.
Okay, so the bar stays open.
Actually, I have it another project. I'm gonna totally tear it down, whole building, and then I have to make some apartment building over there in future.
Okay, so you're gonna conceivably sell you're not selling the bar license currently. We're talking about just the liquor store license.
No, I'm selling whole property to him.
You're selling the whole property to him.
Yeah.
And but you're not applying for the liquor store the bar license?
No, I'm gonna run the bar like 6-7 months
Okay,
only,
okay.
then I'm gonna close it.
Okay. I was just curious what was gonna happen, but you have a plan to actually add value to that property eventually.
Yes, yeah,
Bulldoze the
yeah.
current building that's maybe 80 years old, 100 years old, maybe more, I don't know.
92, I
92.
think.
I was guessing.
Pretty close.
90, wow.
And then eventually
Those old speakers.
rebuild it with a new, something of higher, better value eventually.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay,
I'll move approval of transfer to license.
Second.
And Mr. Chair, I just want to point out to those in the audience that this property went through Plan Commission and has to improve the property. And also that the owner needs to apply for the tavern license then. If it's going to be under your name, you're going to have to apply to get that license.
Yeah, he's gonna do it in next meeting because we are late a little bit, so, and he didn't fill out the application form, so when next meeting will come, he has already everything with him.
You know, I'm not a huge fan of the idea of a liquor store on 82nd, 86th, 91st, grocery store across the street from there. This is a tough one. I really don't like the idea of it. I just think it's too many taverns within too close proximity.
If it helps Alderman May at all, there was one in the State Fair Court that's going away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's one less in that neighborhood.
And I think the other thing is they did sell beer all along,
Mm-hmm.
so they did have alcohol, but now they're gonna be,
Yeah.
and we eliminate the one over by State Fair, so, this is not that far away from State Fair.
Okay. So in 97, was a motion was made and seconded to approve the transfer of the license. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, so this is town moving to Greenfield, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's what I thought, okay.
Just,
Getting a little
okay.
diluted here, okay, thank you.
Or really Greenfield buying out town. Okay.
So it's moving.
Yeah.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
No.
Okay. Eraser for this pen. Okay, then we have 98, which is the actual combination Class A license application of, can you say your name? Yes.
Pravin.
Kumar Patel.
Okay.
Sure it is.
Yeah, you say so. Okay, and so to have motion on this?
Move approval with a discussion.
Yeah.
What's the difference, right?
I'll second it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, the note here says new non-existing location. Shouldn't it really be like new location transferred license? That's what.
Non-existing because of the Class A part of it.
Okay.
It doesn't exist there now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. We're not creating a license, obviously. Okay.
Okay, do I have any further discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Now this goes to the council floor and it'll be voted on later. Okay?
Yeah, we'll vote on this later on
Tonight.
tonight. It'll probably pass.
Okay, let's see.
Anything else?
Okay.
And that's all subject to, obviously.
Yes.
No, that's it.
And
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about
Parthenon
Parthenon.
Foods is being held for.
Correct.
Is there anybody here from Parthenon Foods?
No, we told them they didn't have to come. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?